Hi, this is Courtney Hale with Standing Rock Protectors, and I'm here with an interview with John Bolenbaugh, and this one is called The Anatomy of a Pipeline. So I have a few questions, and I'm looking forward to hearing from you. The first thing I'd like to ask is just a general question about your background. How did you come to be in this place and time, and what's your background?
Navy veteran, Bronze Star. The reason why I mentioned that is try to build credibility, because obviously with all the police and everybody, the National Guard out there, you know, I plan I'm probably going to be arrested and strip searched and sitting in a cell for a couple days naked. And, you know, I'm dreading that. I don't want to go through that. I've already went through 5 years of hell here in Michigan fighting Enbridge, but you know, they need my help, and the truth is I have the ammunition they need to go against Enbridge. I've been an oil pipeline worker. I got the job through my brother, and I was working on a few pipelines. I worked on the Keystone 1. I was a former manager, a foreman for the Keystone 1 pipeline, and I didn't really see an oil spill, and I was in Florida on vacation, and they called me up and said, "Hey John, there's an oil spill." Come to find out, it was in my backyard because I lived on the river, and it was horrible. I mean, we had 40 miles of dead fish. We had thousands of dead animals, and they actually made me the yard boss. Enbridge appointed me to be the top guy for the entire spill for the largest yard that they had, and I became a normal cleanup worker after that, and I was watching them bury the oil, cover it up, and I had no idea how bad it was. I told on them, got fired the next day. They called me a liar, and so I started making a documentary about it. The problem is I was using a BlackBerry phone for about 8 months. The footage on that, I can't really use much of it, but I did go door to door to 1,400 homes. Wow. And I didn't expect this, but I had 200 sick people show up at a meeting, and people are crying and trying to tell me their story. And I had 1 hour of battery for this little tiny camera I just bought. I had no idea that it was going to be this big, and I didn't know I was going to be making a documentary about it and, you know, be the next Aaron Brockovich. But that's what I've been doing for the last 6 years, pretty much. So that's how I kind of got started.
Okay. That's pretty amazing. Congratulations on being in the right place at the right time and being the right person, right? It's amazing. My next question is about how pipelines are made. Who builds them? Who profits? Who approves them? How can we effectively stop them? And are they safe?
No, they're not. They're not safe. See, the thing is, they have alarm systems. They say they're high tech and new age, but the issue is they don't go off unless there's at least 1.5% to 2% loss of pressure. So when you're talking about a pipeline all the way down to Texas from Canada, we're talking about tens of thousands of gallons that will spill every single day. You know, 30 gallons here, 10 gallons here, 5 gallons here, but it's coming out of that pipe on a daily basis. And you'll never know because the alarms will never go off. So, I mean, it's polluting your well, or your animals are drinking it, or it's going into the local stream or lake. They're buying a lot of the pipe from China, and they bring it over to Canada, and then they'll put a coating on it. And then when they put the coating on it, they'll stamp it and say Canada. So it looks like it's a Canadian steel pipe. And some of them are, but a lot of it's coming from China. And it's cheap steel, and it doesn't weld properly. I mean, I just talked to an Enbridge inspector just recently, and he was telling me how, you know, in the past, a lot of the pipe that he's worked with and the steel he's worked with, you couldn't weld it properly. You would get little pinholes. And that's what happens. These little pinholes is letting the chemicals come out. But it's actually, it's a large rate for us, but it's a small rate for the industry. So it's not affecting the alarms. And then if you think, let's just going through Lake Michigan. we have the pipeline up by the where the bridge is. So let's say that spills, and it's right in the center. They shut off both pipe, the stations on both sides, but it's going to take, I mean, the flow is all still going to come out that hole. It's still going to leak out even if you shut both of the stations down. It doesn't suck it out or suck it back to the station. It just lets gravity release it out into the water. And there's nothing you can do about that. You know, and we're talking about a few miles worth of oil in that pipe. And it's pretty much going to ruin the Great Lakes. And, you know, if they put that pipeline, the XL pipeline under out there, I mean, it's going to do the same thing if there's a spill. Missouri River, Mississippi River, all of it. That's what we're fighting for. We're fighting for our kids to have clean water so they can go swimming. My kids will not go in the Kalamazoo River. They're not going to go boating and swimming out there. And Enbridge says it's clean, but it's not clean. Even the EPA says there's 100,000 gallons of oil still left at the bottom of that river that they can never get out. And our fish are getting tumors, and people are eating those fish. So, but I've been doing this for 5 to 6 years now. I'm pretty good. You know, I've costed Enbridge, they estimate, over $1 billion. I've had death threats, slashed tires, cut brakes. I've been hit over the head. Before I testified under oath, which is a big deal, the bolts were missing out of my motorcycle wheel. Called the cops. The neighbor noticed it. I didn't notice it. We were going for a ride. Neighbor saved our lives. Called the cop, and he said, John, he said, you know, I hope this isn't like the Alamo, but basically you're going up against the Mexican army, you know. So I got a lot of police officers on my side. I've interviewed city council members, state police, sheriffs, county. They used to all think I was crazy, but they've seen my videos. There's so much evidence. It's ridiculous. And I've interviewed hundreds and hundreds of sick people. I'm making more videos right now. I want to make a documentary about all this. I just haven't had the funds to do that. But, you know, I'm hard-headed and I won't ask for money. So I'm kind of funding the whole thing myself.
Hopefully with a group of people collaborating, we can make it a little bit easier on all of us to get things done. I'm not afraid to ask for money for other people, which is great. I don't like asking for myself either. Like
I'm the same way.
If it's for your cause or the group cause, then I'll ask for money. So hopefully people can look for this on Kickstarter or something like that at a certain point, and we'll throw together a trailer.
Yeah, I was going to do this last year, and a year later, I still haven't did a Kickstarter. I mean, I need to get a trailer done. I literally have enough footage to make a 4-hour documentary. I've been to the Mayflower, Arkansas spill. I've been to the Yellowstone spill. I went to the Gulf. I've interviewed hundreds and hundreds of sick people. And my whole family works for oil companies. So I know a lot of people on the inside, and I used to work for them. I know things that most people don't know. And I've had whistleblowers contact me that don't want to lose their careers, that tell me secret information, you know. So, and I'm honest with them. I tell them I'm not going to, you know, let anybody know who they are, and I don't. You know, I'm a man of my word. But if I ever came to a court situation where I was being sued for defamation of character, you know, of course, I'm going to defend myself with all the evidence I can produce. And that's another reason I've actually asked Enbridge to sue me for defamation of character. I've been at meetings before and said, you killed my uncle, you killed my dog, my kidneys messed up because of you, my daughter had a deformity because of you. You know, and we've had dozens of people that died from the oil spill that they'll never put in the news because the press is owned by, you know, these corporations with advertisement or whatever, and they just refuse to do the right thing. And I have nothing to lose, and except for my life. And of course, I'm more scared now. I have 2 little girls, and I have a wife, and you know, I have the family I've always wanted. But what am I going to do now? You know, I mean, if I go out to North Dakota and I get arrested and I'm in jail, I'm going to miss Halloween. You know. So here's one of my. You better not miss it. This is my little daughter, Zara.
Oh my gosh.
Mwah. Yeah. Hi. So I know you have lots of questions and you can ask me anything.
Awesome. Okay. So how does a pipeline go through? What I'm trying to figure out is at Standing Rock, how did we miss the opportunity to say no when there was still time? I know they were going to put it through Bismarck and they decided to use the soft spot, which was the reservation. How did the tribal people miss the opportunity to say heck no?
It's hard with eminent domain, and it's not logical. I mean, we have a foreign company. Let's say TransCanada. It's not part of this situation, but TransCanada is owned majority by China, and most people don't know that. There is so much money invested in these by all these banks and everything, and sometimes you don't even know who's all involved. Like Enbridge just joined with Phillips 66, and they have what 37% of basically the responsibility of putting the pipe in and stuff like that. Michael's, my brother's not gonna be happy, but my brother works for Michael's that's out there, and he's one of their top dogs. I mean, top big guys. And, you know, he's been worried about losing his job because of what I'm doing in the past.
She says, don't worry, Daddy. It'll be all right.
Yeah, I'm scared. You know, I want to support Standing Rock. That's why I'm coming out there. You know, I'm going to meet with some of the union guys from other places and probably going to get arrested. I'll probably have my drone shot out of the sky, which I just paid $2,000 for it. You know, I just bought $6,000 in equipment. Instead of buying my wife a house, you know, I've been waiting for a VA loan and about ready to get a house. And all of a sudden I spent $6,000 on it because of Standing Rock. I just spent all of our money we had saved up for video equipment because I want to have the best of the best when I go out there, you know, to put in the documentary. Not for me. The documentary is free to everybody. I'm not charging a dime for this documentary. It's going to be on YouTube or Vimeo for free. It's too important. People are dying out there, you know, and Standing Rock, the people out there are sacrificing their freedom because they get arrested 2-3 times and then the judge has the ability to throw them in for several years. And they're charging inciting a riot, and especially to the press. They're just trying to scare people out of there. They don't want me coming out there. They don't want other people coming out there. And by giving people felonies, that's what they're doing, is they're preventing thousands of people from coming out, because anybody will get a misdemeanor. It's a 45 days in jail at the worst. You know, I'll do that. I mean, Courtney's not gonna be happy about that, but I'll do that. But I don't want to miss my girls growing up for the next couple years. So I have to actually think and be very smarter than them. And I risked my life for several years doing this. I figured I'd have a bullet in my head by now. And I think because I was so public, that's the only reason I haven't at the moment. And I believe God's been protecting me, you know. And honey, will you grab her? You want to get up? You stretching? Sorry.
No, family trumps everything.
But my little girls, they give me strength. And you know, sometimes you think about quitting and just letting the next person do it, but the knowledge I have and the information I have is so important that if I'm sitting in jail for the next couple years, then all I'm hurting is us. I'm hurting you. I'm hurting Standing Rock. I'm hurting the tribes. I'm hurting everybody. I have to get these documentaries out. I mean, I literally been working a job for 18 months straight, 6 days a week, every single day, 14 hours a day. I mean, I just been working to fund everything, you know, pay this person to help me with the documentary, pay this person to help me with the book, but I just don't make enough money to afford all this. And, you know, I met you, and I met a few people online, and you guys gave me, you know, some encouragement to, yeah, John, we need you out there. You got to go out there. And so I'm trying to drum up I had a lot of balls for the last 6 years, but you know, it's a little scary what's going on out there. It's unjust what they're doing to everybody. And Morton County, I'm sure he already knows who I am because I already sent him messages. I told him, go ahead and arrest me. See, if I get arrested, the good thing is it gives me the opportunity to use a defense to bring into the court of law what happened here in Michigan, because that's why I'm out there That's why I'm getting arrested. It'll give me a defense. So basically it opens up the door for me to publicly go against Enbridge. Enbridge had me arrested before and they didn't show up to court. The reason why they don't show up to court is because they don't want a court battle against me. All they're trying to do is scare me. And that's what they're trying to do with all the people out there. So I can talk forever. Next question, please.
All right. I guess we've talked about how we got to this point with Standing Rock because it's difficult to catch when they're doing all the paperwork, right? But can we talk about what happens once there is a spill? Because as you're talking about it, I understand that you're saying it's not if there's going to be a spill, it's when, right?
Yeah. Well,
what happens then? Who cleans it up and who pays the cost?
Okay. So great question. So let me start out by saying they know these pipes are going bad. They don't care. They knew the pipe in Michigan had a crack in it for 5 years. They don't want to fix it because if they shut it down to fix it, they lose $8-10 million a day of lost revenue. And it takes approximately a month, 2 months, 3 months to fix the pipe. So what they do is they just keep getting permits to extend the construction on it of fixing it. And it's perfect for them. It's bad for us. But what they do in that, and I testified under oath, this is I've been saying this, for years. But what I have uncovered is they profit when there's a spill because the insurance company, instead of them losing $8 million a day for 90 days to fix a pipe, they wait for the spill and the insurance company hires them to come clean up their own mess.
Wow.
They own a lot of the cleanup companies. They make the cleanup materials, a lot of the companies. So they profit when there's a spill. They have factories that make this stuff, that warehouse all this cleaning material, which is boom, and we call, we call some of the stuff some names you wouldn't know, but it's cleanup materials. And the thing is, it sits there for years and years until there's a huge spill and they got to use it. And so they kind of want spills. The other thing is the insurance company is hiring them to clean it up. They're paying for the lost revenue. They're paying to fix the pipe. This is what I believe. This is what I feel I've investigated. And so it's let's say the Michigan spill, there was a $650 million insurance policy. The largest inland oil spill prior to Kalamazoo spill was $150 million to clean up. So they had a buffer. So they never imagined they would go over that buffer. And the reason why they did it is because of me. I mean, I might sound conceited saying it, but the thing is, I put in about 9,000 hours of my time, and I took hundreds of reporters out there, and I 100% proved that they buried hundreds and hundreds of square yards and in some cases miles of river on the edges where they actually put dirt and grass over the oil in the swamps and stuff instead of cleaning it up because they weren't allowed to turn the pipe back on until it was pretty much cleaned. And so they were getting to the point they were losing all this money on a daily basis. They just started covering a lot of it up. And that was why. But yeah, they buy the property along the river or wherever the spill is. They'll buy it for less than what it's worth. And then they'll sell it for more later. So basically now they own 90% of the entire river for 40 miles long on the Kalamazoo River. So now they own a lot of real estate. It's very profitable. But they lost a lot of money because I reported the cover up. They had to re-clean it up. They re-dredged it a few times. And it costed them, about $600 million more to re-dredge and re-clean up. And then the bad publicity, some reporters have said that I costed them over $1 billion. So
is there any appropriate or healthy bioremediation of these oil spills? Is there such a thing?
Well, there's a book that says there's a mandatory 1,000-foot evacuation if there is a spill. The thing is, they never told anybody about this until I found out. Basically, I made it public. and a senator helped me, and a congressman. They found out some information and gave it to me, and I made it public that it was a mandatory 1,000-foot evacuation from wherever there was oil. That means 40 miles down the river, if there's oil, it's a mandatory 1,000-foot evacuation. And they didn't do that. They just evacuated people 100 foot, 200 foot, and people are getting sick. My uncle died. My dog got tumors and had seizures and died. It was a few years later, but it happened. My kidney is not functioning properly now. It's because of these chemicals we breathed in. And so I try to travel around the country and give speeches. Whenever somebody asks me, I foot the bill. I've paid for everything myself, and basically Mayflower, Arkansas spill happened. I went down there and they were saying everybody was fine. And I said, no, you need to evacuate. And now there's a lot of kids that have COPD because they did not evacuate, because for those weeks that they were breathing in these chemicals before I was able to afford to drive down there, it was too late. And so the goal is the documentary will just expose what's going on. It would piss people off. I have people that are pro-oil that have seen my videos, and now they realize, we need to go into a different direction. I drive a car like you do. We need gas. We need oil. But there is also our number one export in the United States is oil. We don't need as much as they act like we need, and so all these pipelines they're putting through right now, probably 50% of all the pipelines and all the oil is for China or for export. It's not really for us.
Wow. But we're the ones who are paying for it environmentally. And none of these people who are paying for it with their health and their quality of life are making any money, right? I mean, it's just the big oil that makes the money. Who makes the money off of all of this?
Well, I mean, you have your workers that make their money, but when they put a pipeline through, normally you have 50% union workers per state. So let's say North Dakota. When I was working in South Dakota on the Keystone 1, I actually was part of 50%, which my brother brought in. And then the other 50% is local union workers. So when they say there's 100,000 jobs, they're talking about a waitress that's already got a job that makes some tips.
Right.
And they're counting those tips as a job. That's not an extra job. That's normally about 800 guys per state. That's what it is. It's not as many workers as they act like. And sometimes 800 is way more than what it really is.
These companies are partly owned by foreign interests. And so is this kind of trashing our country and siphoning the money out as well as the resources?
Oh, definitely. So because China bought a great deal of the tar sands in Canada, they have to get it to China. And Canada won't refine it the way it needs to be refined because it's too toxic. So they have to send it to the United States to refine it. They can process it and take the tar and the sand and separate it, but they can't really refine it like we need to. And so that's why they need the United States. And basically that's what we're doing. We're polluting our water, our land, our air. And a lot of the tribes up in Canada, I read a report where 10% of one tribe that lives by a tar sand refinery that separates the tar sand and the sand, the tar, about 10% of them have brain tumors. A lot of us around here are getting headaches and migraines. But see, we don't really know what's going to happen in the future. With the 7 kids that I know of in our local schools that have leukemia, how do you prove this? The statistics, it's impossible to happen in one school district, right. But we had an oil spill there. And so Enbridge will say that no one got sick. I just paid $2,000. Don't tell the wife I said that. Whoops. She's sitting right behind me. So, but I just paid an attorney to get me all the sick people. Everybody that I don't know about. I only know about 100 of them. There is hundreds and hundreds of people that make complaints and were paid off. A lot of them were paid off, or they were part of a class action lawsuit. And now I have their names. Now I can contact them. I can do interviews with them. A lot of them will have gag orders, but some of them are so sick that I imagine they'll come forward anyways. And so yeah, it's all big money. The governor, I imagine the governor in your state, or not in your state because you're in Colorado if I remember right, but in the Dakotas, I bet he's got money invested in the tar sands or that pipeline. And when he's got stock in there, he wants it to go through. I mean, because he's doing some things that are pretty unethical. You know, arresting the press. I've never heard of that before. I mean, they're just documenting. They're not holding signs. They're not protesting. They're not part of it. They're just, and it's still peaceful anyways. But, you know, to go after the press is pretty low. And I'm sure this guy is going to have an indictment, or he's going to lose his job. He's going to be voted out because once I get through with him and you guys get through with him, and there's so much footage against him, how they're shooting down drones, saying that they're going after helicopters. That's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. The one thing is the helicopters are flying lower than 5 FFA or FAA they're supposed to. They're not supposed to be flying that low.
You can almost throw a rock at them.
What?
I've been out there, and you could almost throw a rock at them. You can actually see the writing on the side of the helicopters. They're that low.
Right. So he's breaking federal law right there for no reason. He doesn't need to break that law to capture somebody or to, you know, get somebody that's going to endanger somebody else. He's actually just trying to harass. And you even mentioned that they're zapping phones. They're using some mechanism to suck the battery juice out of your phones. And
my phone was in perfect condition before I went out there. It no longer functions. It's fried. The programs won't work. The apps won't work. And it went from 100% to 0% within an hour when the charge used to last for 8 to 10 hours.
And that's stuff like that.
And started shaking.
Yeah, I mean, that scares me too. You know, I just bought a brand new GoPro with 4 batteries and a drone with 4 batteries and a camera with 3 batteries. And if it does that to all my batteries, it's just like, oh, you know, but I don't have a choice. I got to go out there.
I'm guessing that it has something to do with a signal. This is just my guess, is that when the signal is going up, somehow they catch it and they send something else back down.
It's possible.
It wasn't everybody. And it was just right when I was starting to get a signal and I was sending a file that it got zapped. So I don't know if that makes any sense. And it's pure speculation, but I hope that you'll be fine.
Well, so another thing is, if somebody is documenting, videotaping, and they know they're about ready to get arrested, they need to give that SD card to somebody that's not going to get arrested. They got to get that SD card out of there, because all they're doing is they're holding that in. I imagine they're probably keeping it, saying it's evidence.
They are.
And then down the road, they'll lose it, or they'll delete parts of it, or delete it all and say, oh, well, you must have not had your camera on. You know, I mean, it's really hard to prove there was footage on there. Especially they can just take a SD card that looks the same and just switch it, and there's no way to prove it. You know, so we got to keep switching SD cards and get them to a safe haven and make sure that we can get the footage out. And live stream is really good too if you're able to in those remote areas.
A lot of people are actually going to the casino up the road and uploading their stuff or dropping it into Dropbox and sending it to another person and to a third party so that they can't lose their footage. So it would be nice if we all had lots and lots of money and we could have a permanent room at the casino so that we would be able to do that for everybody and have a spot for them.
So if anybody from Standing Rock is watching this, and I'm going to come out and say the same thing, I know you're nonviolent. I've seen the videos. I know what's going on. I know you have a corrupt governor out there, a corrupt sheriff, and I know I'm not doing myself any favors by saying this stuff because I'm about ready to head out there. But the thing is, you got to make sure to stay nonviolent. You have to, no matter how mad you are, you have to stay 100% nonviolent, because they will use 1 or 2 little pieces of footage against somebody that is trying to even protect somebody else. and use it against you to make up a lie. In my situation, I went through 5 years of court battles so far with Enbridge, and they actually, out of the entire time, they only have one 30-second piece of footage where I'm actually cussing, and I'm mad at these workers.
Right.
But they won't show the part where they're surrounding me. I got 10 workers surrounding me, and I whip my camera out, and that's basically how I defend myself, is my camera. My footage is my protection. And, you know, they could have took my camera from me and did all that. You okay? Sorry, everybody. I got kids.
Hey, don't be sorry you have kids. Congratulations.
Well, oh, yeah. They're a blessing.
And plus, you know, it keeps it real, right? I have 2 kids that I've brought with me everywhere for 15 years, and I think it's good. It shows our human side. I was just talking to a professor from American University and talking to him about how they fought the Cuban embargo, and that was his specialty. And he said the thing that makes it happen is the humanity of it. When you see people with children, when you see people that you can relate to, that's how it makes it human. So thank the baby for making this completely real.
And so in this court battle I have 3,000 gigabytes of footage, and there's only one 30-second piece that they tried to use against me in court, because I have always kept my cool. I've always just let my video camera tell the picture. I have workers that, the thing is, in my situation, it was perfect, because if they actually talk to me and say, hey, John, you know, we're trying to re-clean this up the best we can, that's good footage, because it says you didn't clean it up right the first time. But if they're saying, get out of here, you know, a-hole, and, you know, we don't need you around here and stuff like that, then that's good footage too. And so in my situation, any footage that came to me, good or bad, was good footage, because it showed they didn't do it right the first time and they were reclaiming it, or it showed that they just hated me because I exposed what they were doing. And then I also have workers that came to me, you know, later on saying, hey, John, thank God I had a job for an extra 2 years because of you. You know, so the union workers were that at first didn't like me because they were lied to by this oil company, saying I was a bad person and disgruntled worker, and I got fired for stealing. When it came out in the court battle, I was fired because I reported a cover-up to the media that made Enbridge's reputation look bad. That is what the court documents say. All the other stuff was proved that it was 100% lie, but what are they going to tell their co-workers, you know, that John reported a cover-up? Because then you're going to have 10 other people do it too, you know, so.
So right here and now, before you go out there, I mean, I just got back and I saw what I saw. You know, things have escalated quite a bit since then on Saturday. So what can we do to support you and to support the end of this Dakota Access Pipeline? What type of steps can we take, like, now to make this better?
Just keep it nonviolent. That's all you can do. Just and exposure. Keep those SD cards coming. Keep what I mean by that is get that footage out. I mean, and you got to send it to every reporter. You know, you gotta have a list of 500 reporters, and you gotta on a daily basis email it to all of them. They need to start getting the email list of everybody.
Okay.
So on a daily basis, they can start sending this footage out, and Twitter, and Facebook, and YouTube, and things like that. I mean, that's what helped me. It was YouTube. YouTube, because they tried to shut my YouTube down 5 or 6 times. And YouTube basically was contacting the oil company saying, stop making complaints saying that he's stealing footage. It's not anybody's footage but his own. But they were trying to make complaints, hoping to shut it down. My website, I've had 5 million people on my website, but I had it shut down 4 times in the last 5 years. The oil company would figure out my password and they would shut it down. Every single day they try to get into and figure out my password. Every day because I have a really good system now, a really good security system, and every day when they attempt to put in a wrong password, it gives me notifications, and it says they tried 10 times, they tried 20 times, they tried 18 times. And I get this every single day. They're trying to shut me down. And thank God my YouTube's still up, my website's still up. I'm still here. You know, I'm still kicking so far. So, and just remember, I'll never commit suicide. I will never.
That's terrible.
I mean, it happens. Look what it happens.
I shouldn't laugh, but it's just so sick because suddenly people are committing suicide who are perfectly happy and successful. Come on, man.
Well, look what the Gulf oil spill. There was 8 whistleblowers that came up dead in the first year. I mean, you can Google it and look it up. There's 800 whistleblowers that came up dead in the last 10 years, you know, around the world. The thing is, most whistleblowers are not like John Bolenbaugh. Most of them, they report a cover up, they report something illegal, their attorney tells them to shut up, and they shut up. And then they settle out of court. When I met my attorney, which is Jeffrey Feiger, he's the #1 attorney in Michigan. He actually said, John, don't talk to nobody, you know, it's a big case and worth millions of dollars. And I said, I'm not doing this for the money. I said, if you ever tell me to shut up again, you're fired. And I told this head attorney that. And he looked at me and his face turned red. And I said, listen, I said, you do whatever you got to do your job right. And I'm going to be as loud as I can. I came to you for publicity. I came to you because you are popular. I didn't come to you because you can make me money. And so when people turn out
dead is after they accept a settlement?
I took a settlement for the whistleblower part. But the only reason I did that is because it was a subcontractor. There's no reason for me it was a $3.5 million lawsuit. I could have took a settlement for larger, probably, if I would have went all the way through trial. But my attorney, I made an agreement with him, and I made an agreement with the company that actually fired me wrongfully. I said, if you testify against Enbridge, I will take this settlement. And I saved them millions of dollars. Now, Enbridge has offered me a lot of money. I can't say how much, you know, I've been offered, but they've asked me to sign a gag order. I'm not going to sign a gag order. It's not worth it to me. People are going to die in the future from an oil spill because there was a spill right next to their house and they didn't evacuate. And I'm going to feel so guilty for the rest of my life. So I have to do the right thing. And yes, I have 2 people writing books about what I did, and maybe I'll make some money down the road 5 years from now. Maybe, you know, Oliver Stone or Daryl Hannah or somebody will make a movie about this. And maybe, you know, the word will get out more, and maybe my kids will have some money for college. But right now I work a real job, and it's hard to get time off work to do this job as well, you know, so.
All right. Well, I think we're past the 30-minute mark, and I know people have busy lives and all of that, so you probably won't follow us too much longer after a certain point. But I'd really look forward to interviewing you again and learning more, especially after you come back from Standing Rock. And I guess I want to say bye for now, but everybody should make sure to go to your website, which is right behind you, right?
Yeah, it's helpa.org. HELPPA.org, or EnbridgeLies.org, or KinderMorganLies.org, ExxonLies.org. I own them all. Awesome. So pretty much any company that deals with oil or pipelines, if you put lies at the end of it, EPALies.com, I own them all. So they go right to my website.
Well, thank you for the time, and thank you to your family for the support so that you could do this. And I look forward to seeing everything you bring back from Standing Rock.
Well, thank you, Courtney. I appreciate everything you're doing too. God bless you.
God bless you.